Okay, and welcome to the first of one of our new video podcasts. This is the first time I've done this, so there might well be people looking at me wondering exactly why I'm carrying a video camera and talking to myself. At the moment we're here in York, and what we're going to be looking at is one of the first of the important York bars. Now, a York bar isn't the pub that you might expect. It's actually one of its fortified gate positions. In Edinburgh, in the Flodden Wall, we have ports. In York, we have bars. And at the moment, the bar that we are standing in is Walmgate Bar. Now, there are four really crucial bars in York: Monk, Micklegate, Bootham and Walmgate. Walmgate is the quietest of these, and because of that, it doesn't have a road. It doesn't have a road that comes directly underneath it. And because of that, this bar has been preserved in the way it was originally designed. Bootham, Micklegate and Monk bars, because they had busy roads underneath them, they all changed quite radically. And the thing that changed about them is, if you look behind me, this rather fantastic gatehouse, well, that's still there. Monk, Bootham and Micklegate still has these. The thing that they don't have is what I'm standing in just now, and that's actually it's Barbican. So what does a Barbican do? Well, if you imagine coming into the ancient city of York, the medieval walled city of York, you would have to come through these gates. There are other gates on the walls, but these are the main ones, and these are the ones that are the oldest, if you like. So you'd come in, and you'd come in through this Barbican, and as you came in, people would be able, the guards would be able to look at you, they'd be able to see what you're bringing in, check you weren't some kind of dodgy person or a Scot. And actually there is still, in legal print from what I can understand, a law that says that in Scotland, that in York, if you find a Scot within the city limits with a bow and an arrow, then you're allowed to kill them after a certain time at night. I'm Scottish, I don't have a bow and arrow, and it's not late at night, so hopefully we'll be okay. But this structure behind me, the gatehouse that we can see there, and the Barbican, this bit here that we can see all around us, this Barbican is really important because it's the only one of the four gates, the four bars in York, that still has its original Barbican. The rest were cleared because the streets that the gates were over became very, very busy. Walmgate, because it's quieter, although there is a street behind me as you can see, Walmgate, because it was quieter, it actually kept its Barbican, and this gives us a really great understanding of what York's walls actually look like. So, we're going to have a little look around here because there are a few interesting things. First of all, I'm going to show you down here, which is as we walk around, and it's slightly better from the other side, so I'll take you out there in a wee minute. If you have a look at the stones down at the bottom here, now what the photograph might not actually show you is there's a slight curvature to these. And although we haven't finished the sort of the hardcore research that goes into one of our virtual tours, we had a meeting the other night with some very knowledgeable people about York walls, and one of them was telling me that actually the reason there's that curvature in the walls just behind me there is because originally in the English Civil War there was a siege works dug underneath there, and it's not been filled in terribly well. In fact, there's another story that not only is there a siege work underneath there, but there's actually a counter siege built over the top of it where they poured water onto the siege works, the attackers below. I don't think that's a particularly good idea, particularly with all this amount of stone, but they seem to think that was at the time. It doesn't seem to have been filled in very well, which is why there's still this belief that there's this, or there for a long time, there's this curvature in the walls here. Something else that's quite interesting about this particular area. As I said, York was besieged during the English Civil War. And by this time, the defences that you see here were really outdated. They were, in military architecture terms, the flared trousers of the day. Fashions had moved, you really wanted short, squat, powerful walls, the kind of stuff that we see in our Berwick tour that's coming out soon. York's walls were medieval, they weren't really designed for this. And there is a story that this particular area, when it was attacked, there was a cannonball thudded right into, it's quite noisy here, right into the exterior. So we're going to have a quick look at this bit here. Come with me just now. Now, if I could stand just right here, if you have a look at this bit here, you can see it looks like someone's punched with a fist into this section of wall. And according to legend, that's because an artillery shell slammed off there. The artillery from Cromwell's soldiers weren't too far back over in that direction. Now, some of this could be a little bit wrong. As I said, we're still in the middle of looking at the research that goes into this, and if we do find that we've made mistakes, we'll come back and we'll make these. Here's this bowed section of wall from the outside, and You can see there is a very slight tilt. Now, as you can also tell, if you have a look at the bricks for these things, the brickwork changes over the years. And that lets us see that there's been repairs made and that things aren't quite as original as you might think. If you have a look from the outside here, you can see some really, really nice defensive pieces. And it is good that Walmgate still has these, and that York actually still has its medieval defences. At one point in the early 19th century, it did look as if York was going to have a lot of the walls removed, which should have been a real travesty. So we're going to go back in here. As well as the artillery shell that might have slammed off the back there, one of the other things that's discussed and debated is if I turn round and you have a look behind me, and I can zoom this in, if I can work out how to do that. If you have a look at this particular thing going up here, this mini turret, there are spaces where it looks as if there might be some kind of pitting. Now, if we zoom back out, whether this pitting is because of erosion over the years, it's quite a soft type of stone this, or whether it's actually musket balls from Cromwell's army, again, that's another thing that's debated. One of these lovely things about coming here is that over the years there are stories that have emerged, many of which are based on archaeological evidence, many are based on historical eyewitness accounts and historical records, and some just seem, like Edinburgh, to have grown up from nothing. If we come actually into Walmgate Bar itself, you can see, if we look up, there we go, and if I zoom in again, somewhere on here, you should see, in a minute, there we go, one of the points of its portcullis. And you can actually visit York Walmgate Bar. The section up there actually is a coffee house. And again, what makes Walmgate quite different from others is that the coffee house actually stays in this little Elizabethan chamber that's been built on at the back, which you'll see as I walk away from it just now. And I'm getting looks at people wondering what the heck I'm doing. There we go. So you can actually visit this. If I hold that up and let you see, rather a nice coffee house. So we'll go back in. York's bars, with the exception of Walmgate, don't have its wooden doors anymore, but Walmgate does. These aren't, I don't think, medieval, but certainly you can look at them, you can tell just how old they are. What I quite like on the other side, if you have a look at this one here, is this rather nice, what looks like a sort of an Elizabethan Tudor-style cat flap. Large cat, but never mind. I'm going to take a quick walk up on the wall and I'll show you a little bit more about exactly what Walmgate Bar does and why it's such an important defensive position. So, there we go. Now sadly we can't actually get up to the area that has the coffee house. It's closed just now, it's kind of early in the morning, it's only about 9:30 here. I think it must open around about 10, 11 o'clock. If we come up here, there we go. Right, now, behind us, therefore, you can see Walmgate Bar. Now, as well as having the Barbican, now the Barbican wasn't particularly useful in the event of an attack, it wasn't its only aim. The whole point of having a Barbican was that it would stop people, thank you, it would stop people coming into the city unannounced, if you like. It would let guards see, also for tax duties, I would imagine, although I haven't read that, so I could be wrong there. And there you can see Walmgate Bar. The other beauty is that the guards would be able to come and walk out on this section here, and they'd be able to look right down the length of the walls. Or sorry, I'm looking at the wrong way here. The guards would be able to walk in this section right behind me here, and they'd be able to sort of walk out and see enfilading fire positions right the way down the walls there. So they'd be able to have a really, really good view of exactly what was going on outside the city walls. And if I turn around and let you see this location there we can actually see just how impressive a structure Walmgate Bar is. And remember, Boothen Bar, Micklegate Bar, Monk Bar, they all had these. Sadly, not with us anymore. In fact, it was quite lucky that the entire wall structure was saved, as I said earlier. And if you have a look, you can see the different types of stone which indicate different periods of building, if you like. This has been fairly well restored, I have to say. And you can also see what a fantastic location we have from this position to see what's going on. And again, just as another piece of evidence, if you like, about why Walmgate Bar is a classic example of medieval architecture, though it was an important strategic position during Cromwell's civil war. If you have a look at the arrow slits, well, they're arrow slits. By the time Cromwell was attacking this place, he really wanted musket loops. It was really a different type of warfare, and York's walls weren't really designed for that. Having said that, if you can compare York's walls and Chester walls with Berwick walls, you can see that, again, you know, very different types of fashion, very different requirements for particular defensive structures at that moment in time. Compare these, however, with Edinburgh's walls. Now, Edinburgh's walls are a couple of hundred years later, the Flodden Wall. It's more contemporary to the Berwick walls, and they were rubbish. I mean, you don't need to be an expert to work out that actually, if Edinburgh was ever going to be properly attacked, and Cromwell was in Edinburgh for a part of the Civil War period, then these walls, although outdated, were going to be an awful lot better than Edinburgh's Flodden walls. This kind of rambling video monologue type thing, this is the first of one of the things that we are going to be doing around Edinburgh mainly, but also we're back down in York in March. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're interested in this, please check out two websites. Our own website at actualeducation.co.uk, and we've got news of our forthcoming York Walls virtual tour that will let you explore these locations in real some detail. I'd also like you to check out the Friends of York Walls website. These are a group of people that have given up a large amount of time to try and promote these walls and to try and make sure that they are seen in the very, very best light. Obviously, there's an awful lot of work goes on at York Council. A man called John Oxley spends a lot of time making sure that these walls are looked after well. There are quite a few people that really put an awful lot of time into making sure that these walls are something that tourists can come and enjoy and really understand. And I hope we've done a little bit for that today. Okay, catch you later. Bye-bye.